Hi guys, welcome to the session. I'm doing the CAT 21 slot 2. A lot of you have been requesting me for a complete in and out discussion of the CAT papers. So just trying to check whether I'm live and giving some time to the people who want to join in live to actually join in. We're doing the CAT 21 paper. It's a marathon session today. So and I'm just waiting for the live feed to reach my phone. Yeah, I guess I'm live here, and would love to see some signs of life on the chat. So this is the CAT 21 slot 2 paper. It was a typical CAT paper, not very difficult, neither not too easy. There were some speed breakers, etc. A lot of people got stuck at points inside this paper, and to be very honest, I solved this paper a few days back as a mock test. I'm taking CAT this year for my 22nd attempt, and I took this paper. I got a score of 161 in this. The quants was the rustiest for me because I've not solved anything in quants for myself practice-wise for almost a year or so, almost a couple of years. So I got a 44 in that. iler I got all the sets through, and in verbal I got 657. I think my score breaker was 57, 60 and 44. So I was a little bit rusty on the quants, but I've of course seen the solutions or gone through the solution of this question. What I want to show you through this session is essentially देखो कुछ बम्पी तो रहता है कैट का पेपर, ऐसा स्मूथ नहीं रहता है, कुछ पॉइंट्स पे आप फंसोगे. बट यू हैव टू रिमेंबर वन थिंग अबाउट द कैट पेपर, एंड दैट इज़ दैट कॉन्ट्स में you have mostly 3 steps or 4 step solutions. So if there's a question which you're going beyond 4 steps while solving, it essentially means that there's something going wrong with your solving. Am I still going live? Yeah, I hope you guys can hear me and see me. Right. So let's start with the first question. All these 22 questions are essentially 3-step questions. This question comes from permutation combination. Actually, this was the only question on permutation combination from in that year. And you can see this question. The question says, it's actually a distribution question. The question says the number of ways of distributing 15 identical balloons, 6 identical pencils and 3 identical erasers among 3 children. So you got 15 balloons, 6 pencils and 3 erasers, and you have to distribute these. You have to distribute the balloons, and you have to distribute the pencils, and you have to distribute the erasers, with the conditions that each child gets at least 4 balloons. So if there are 3 children, X, Y, Z, everybody should get at least 4 balloons minimum. And when you go to the pencils, and you got these 3 children, X, Y, Z, and 1 pencil, that means each child gets at least 1 pencil. So you have to give 1 pencil to each of the child. So the key element for this solution basically is the distribution formula of n plus r minus 1 cr minus 1, where you are distributing n identical things amongst r groups or r people. So I just hope, I mean my video is kind of going off and on here, so I just hope you guys are able to see me and there's no break off in my video, right? I think now it's fine. Okay. So you have to use this formula. This is the formula for distribution of n identical things amongst r people. But यहाँ पे when you have 15 balloons, the theoretical construct is that, and you're giving 4 each, minimum 4 each. So effectively the value of n comes down to 3, and you use this in this formula. N is the number of identical objects, r is the number of people. So n is 3, r is 3. And n plus r minus 1 cr minus 1 will give you 5c2 ways of distributing the balloons. And there's an and, you have to distribute the balloons and the pencils and the erasers. So there will be a multiplication to this. You are distributing 6 pencils amongst 3 people, If there was no constraint, this would be N6 and R3. But because there's a constraint of minimum 1 pencil to each person, you effectively again have only 3 pencils given to 3 people. So that again gives you, with the N plus R minus 1 CR minus 1 formula, N3 and R3 gives you 5C2 again. So you've got 5C2 ways of distributing the pencils. And there's no constraint in the erasers. So when you want to give 3 erasers to 3 people, N is 3 and R is 3. And N3 R3 gives us 5C2. So the answer, basically the value of 5C2 is 10. The value is 10. So 10 into 10 into 10 is 1000. So the answer to this question will be 1000. So pretty straightforward, simple question. All you had to know was the theoretical construct of distribution of objects, of identical objects, to get the 3 marks inside this question. There's nothing more in this question. And pretty much, if you look at the depth of this question, anybody who studied permutation combination once, at least from our videos, definitely for my students, they should be able to solve this question, because we have talked about this formula quite extensively, right? So this is the second question, is from logs. So this question talks about log, log to the base 2, थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा तो बैठ जाओ, log to the base 2, 3 plus log to the base 3, 4 plus log to the base 4, x minus 1 with an appropriate number of brackets, minus 2 is equal to 0. So the initial trigger in this question, thanks Prashant, I hope this is helping all of you. Do spread the word around that this channel is now active, and the owner of the channel, or the principal broadcaster of the channel, is now active. I've done 3 videos last week for 30-day CAT preparation structure, and I'm going to be continuously, consecutively available with you guys with a lot of things. There's a similar demand for UPSC CSAT aspirants also, so I'll be doing the UPSC paper also very soon. So the key reactions in this question, the first reaction we need is that because this whole logarithmic expression minus 2 is equal to 0, it basically means that I want a value of 2 in this logarithmic expression, and since it's to the base 2, it means inside this bracket, the square bracket, inside this square bracket I need a value of 4. That's because that's log 4 to the base 2 will give me 2 here. So this will become 2 only if this inside the box, which is the argument of the log to the base 2, only if that becomes 4. So to make that 4, this is 3, which basically means that this part has to become 1. So that's the series of continuous triggers that lead you to this point. And for this part to become 1, log to the base, this whole part is expression of log to the base 3. It basically means that inside this log to the base 3, the argument for this log has to become 3, because log 3 to the base 3 will be 1, which then means that if I look at inside this bracket, the flower bracket here, inside this flower bracket, this whole expression 4 plus log to the base 4x minus 1 has to be 3, which means that I finally come to a point which tells me log to the base 4 x minus 1 is equal to minus 1. It has to become minus 1. That's the only way to bring 4 plus this. Let's say if this is n, to 4 plus n to be 3, the value of n has to be minus 1. So this is the expression, and then you can use the definition of logs, which is something that you study in the first 30 minutes of the log chapter. If you have done the log chapter, that tells you x minus 1 is equal to 4 raised to minus 1, which basically means that x minus 1 is equal to 1 by 4, which means the value of x is 1 plus 1 by 4, which is 1.25. And it's a theta question, and the question is asking us the value of 4x. So if the value of x is 1.25, the value of 4x will be 5. So that's, I mean, you can see the reactions are pretty much automatic in this question. There's not much self-generated thought in this question. I try to classify, as all my students know, I try to classify the questions based on how much self-generated thought the question is forcing me to do. So if there's a question with a lot of self-generated thought, it becomes difficult. If there's a question which is just reactive, it is an easy question. So this was a reactive question, and even the this first question was also a reactive question. So I would rate both these questions to be somewhere between LOD 1 and 2, maybe to the LOD 2 questions. This was a slightly tougher one. I'll be honest, I did not get this when I was trying to solve it under pressure of 40 minutes, but it's not so difficult, which I realized later. There's just two reactions you need in this. The question says x square minus xy minus x is equal to 22 and y square minus xy plus y is equal to 34. And the question is telling me to find the value of x minus y given that x is greater than y. I just hope I can get through this. So the first reaction to this is, if I add the two expressions, I get, and this is mostly self-generated thought that I have to create here. So if I add the two expressions, let me just get myself a clean board here. So x square minus xy minus x is equal to 22, y square minus xy plus y is equal to 34. And the target value, it's given to us that x is greater than y, and the target value we are being asked is the value of x minus y. So when I start this, the first reaction that we have is, if we add these two expressions, I get x square minus 2xy plus y square minus x plus y. If I just add these two expressions, right? X square minus 2xy minus x plus y square plus y. So this is basically x minus y whole square minus x minus y, and this value is coming out to be 56. Now this is a self-generated thought. This part, I should add these two expressions as a self-generated thought, and that thought, there's a trigger inside what my target value is. The target value is x minus y. So there's a trigger inside this, which as I said, when I was solving this as a mock for myself, I missed this, that trigger did not come to me in the pressure of the time that I was trying to solve it. So now once I get this, it's pretty simple, because in this scenario, there's a value, let's say the value of x minus y is k. I have a situation where k square minus k is equal to 56. So it's pretty simple that k into k minus 1 is equal to 56. So 8 and 7 are the two values. So the value of x minus y, I mean, in this scenario, the value of k square can only be 64 minus 8. 8 is the value of k that fits this. So x minus y ka value 8 aega, which is the correct answer in this question. I hope I'm correct in this. That's what I'm getting here. X minus y whole square minus x minus y, yeah. So I've got this expression, square of it, minus x minus y equals 56. So 8 is the correct answer, yeah. So next question. The next question. So this question, much easier. This is a straight, if you can see this trigger, this is a 30-second question. So this is the fourth one. From a container filled with milk, 9 liters of milk are drawn and replaced with water. Next, from the same container, 9 liters are drawn again and again replaced with water. The volumes of milk and water in the container are now in the ratio 16:9. The key is from here, in this question, the 30-second solution. Of course, there's a longer solution which I'm quite sure you'll find on YouTube and with other teachers, but I'll show you the shortest one. The key inside this is that, and I'll just explain the logic to you also a little bit. This if you convert this into percentage, this ratio into percentage, you see that milk is 64%. And when you have a vessel and you're taking out something from it and putting it back, essentially the reduction in the percentage of the original mixture, I mean, it depends on the percentage of what you're taking out. So I'll give you that example, the logic here. Let's say I have a vessel here, and it's got 40 liters of milk, and I take out 8 liters and I put back 8 liters. So what will happen now? The milk will become 32, and why it's become 32 is because, and the water will become 8. If you convert this into percentage terms, it's become 80% milk. It's become 80% milk in the 40 liters. So why it's become 80% is because you are taking out 20% of the mixture, right? So if you realize that, and you know this structure of thinking in this situation, I told you this is a 30-second question, because the only way, and if you've read my books, I talk about the percentage change graphic. The only way that 100% comes down to 64 in 2 iterations with the same percentage drop is very visible that you are dropping it by 20%. So what your reaction has to be here is that the 9 liters of milk that you are taking out is equivalent to 20% of the capacity. That's all. So 9 liters being 20% of the capacity means that the capacity of the milk is 40, of the container is 45. End of story. There's nothing to write in this question. It's 30 seconds flat. The moment you spot this 64%. I say, I'm quite sure you guys know much better than me how to do this in a complicated way. I'm not very good at complicated solving. So coming back, Anusha, I'll try to answer your question a little bit later. Let's have a look at this question. Again, a very, very intelligent question and a very intelligent solution to this question. I mean, the question says 2 trains A and B were moving in opposite directions, their speeds being in the ratio of 5:3. So you assume the speed of A to be 5x and the speed of B to be 3x. That's the starting point that most people will do in this question. The front end of A crossed the rear end of B 46 seconds after the front ends of the trains had crossed each other. So what is happening is you have this train going in this direction and you have this train going in that direction. This is traveling with the speed of 5x, this is traveling with the speed of 3x. And this is the point, time t equals 0, they started crossing. Now, the first trigger in this question tells us that at 46 seconds after this point, why I'm talking about this as t equals 0 is because the question tells us that the front end of A crossed the rear end of B 46 seconds after the trains had crossed each other. So what this is telling me is that A would have come a little bit ahead. Let's try, since this is a digital board and we have the luxury of multiple colors, let's try to use the multiple colors here. So the position of A is somewhere here now. Pardon my lens being a little different. And the position of B is now somewhere here. B has come this side, A is still going that side. So what is happening? The front end of A, which was here initially, is now crossing the back end of B, which was initially here. And this is in t equals 46. Okay? And then the question tells us later, it tells us it took another 69 seconds for the rear ends of the trains to cross each other. So what this is telling me now is that from this point, this train maybe goes here, the front end reaches this point, and at the same time this train has reached this point. And The back end of this train has reached this point and now they are crossing. So t equals 46 पे हुआ, it takes another 69 seconds for this to happen. So t equals 115 seconds पे ये situation हुआ है. And the problem ends, and the question is asking us what is the ratio of the length of A to the length of B. That's what it's asking us. The ratio of length of train A to that of train B. We need to be careful here, but there's a vision inside this question which, if you understand, this will be a cakewalk from here. You don't need to do any writing in this question. And that vision in this question, I don't know, I hope you remember that there's this question in my book, and this question is not just, I don't claim copyright on this question. The question is there in almost any good quality resource, a train crossing a man in another train. You remember that question? When there's a train, let me just, yeah. When there's a train crossing a man in the question, another train. So if there's a man sitting in one train and there's another train crossing this train, so the length of this train becomes irrelevant in that case. The length of this train becomes irrelevant in that case. It's just the length of this train which becomes the distance to be traveled. So this is obviously about relative speed, and relative speed is the sum of the speeds of the two trains when they are moving in opposite direction. Is the sum of the speeds when they are moving in opposite direction. So the equation used here is the relative speed into the time equals the length of this train. The length of that train becomes immaterial. So if you can connect that to this point, let's look at the black situation to the red situation. So what has happened is, from the black situation to the red situation, this was the engine of the first train, train A. At that time, the back of train B was here, right? And the engine of train A has reached this point, and this time the back of train B has reached this point. So effectively what has happened is that the time taken for 46 seconds, it's almost like sorry, one sec. Let me just explain this again. This is the point where the engine of this train is in line with the engine of this train, right? And at 46 seconds, the engine of this train is in line with the back of this train. That's a better way to explain this, right? I'm explaining this again. Let me redraw this. It'll become easier for you to understand. This is the starting point. I'm denoting the engine with the dot, and this is the starting point, and I'm denoting the engine with the dot. This is 5x, this is 3x. So in the whole scenario, because the two trains are crossing each other at constant speeds, in the whole scenario the relative speed is always 8x. There's no change in the relative speed during the journey, during this crossing. So when you look at this, what has happened? What is happening in 46 seconds? The engine of this train is crossing the back of this train, which means this 46 seconds is representative of the time taken by this point of this train to cover the length of the second train. So if I talk about length of B here, what I get is 8x into 46. I'm assuming that x is in meters per second. 8x into 46 is the length of train B. That's the first reaction in this question, right? Now, once you get that, then at t equals 46, the situation in the crossing over has become this. The situation of the crossing over has become this, that this is the back end of my train B. This is the front end of my train B. Train B is going this side. And now the other information given to me is that it takes 69 seconds for the back of this train to completely cross that train. Right? Just read this part. Takes another 69 seconds for the rear ends of the trains to cross each other, which means that the reference point of the rear end of B is now crossing, is taking 69 seconds to cross the reference point of the back end of train A. So if you realize that, what you realize then is that 8x into 69, this 69 seconds crossing, in this case, the length of B becomes irrelevant because we are only talking about one point on B. We're talking about the back end at the start being in line with the front end of A, and at the end, the back end of B, the back point of B is in line with the back end of A, which basically means that this is telling us that 8x into 69 is the length of A. And all you do, if you see this, there's nothing in this question. If you can see this, there's nothing in this question. Length of A to length of B is 69 by 46, which is 3:2. That's the answer. It's plain and simple. You can do this. I mean, if you see this, you can do this question in 30-40 seconds. नहीं दिखेगा तो ढूंढते रह जाओगे. And I'm quite sure, again, you can find much more complicated ways of solving this question. Right? So this is the fifth one. Let's look at the next one. So, I mean, the previous question I would rate to be an LOD 2 to 3 question because that was a self-generated thought. It was not very easily visible कि ये तो इसको obey कर लें और deep understanding of the situation चाहिए उसमें, और you should be able to connect it to the train crossing a man situation. तभी वो clear होगा कि पहले केस में A का point is crossing B का length. So 46 seconds is required to do that. And दूसरे केस में B का point is crossing A का length. So the 69 seconds is symptomatic or proportional to the length of A, and the 46 seconds is proportional to the length of B. That's how you get the ratio. I hope you're enjoying this. Please do let me know if you're enjoying these solutions. It does give me a lot of energy to do that. I have cancelled a tennis session or postponed a tennis session that I had to come and do this. So I would love to get some reactions from your side. Let's come back to this question, the sixth one. Anil can paint a house in 60 days, while Bimal can paint in 84 days. So reaction. And you'll see one more thing in my solving, which is very critical. The top guys do this. They are very quick and very strong in utilizing the information in the question right at the start of the question, as the question goes ahead. So Anil can paint a house in 60 days, while Bimal can paint in 84 days. Anil starts painting, and after 10 days, Bimal and Charu join him. So reaction is Anil paints for 10 days, which means that he does 16.66% of the work, and 83.33% of the work is still left. 1/6, because he does the work in 60 days. So he's finished 16.66% of the work at this point. And Bimal and Charu join him. Charu के बारे में कितना दिन लगता है नहीं बताया. They have not told me. Together they complete the work, the painting, in 14 more days. So that means that total of 24 days when the painting is completed. So that tells me if the total of 24 days when painting is completed, Anil has worked the entire time. It means that Anil would have done 40% of the work. Right? Simple. And 14 days mein, Bimal has worked only for 14 days, and Bimal completes the work in 84 days. So Bimal will do 1/6 of the work. So 16.66% of the work Bimal will do, which means that Charu will do 43.33% of the work. You have this right at this point. Right at this point you have this reaction. And if they are paid a total of 21,000 for the job, then the share of Charu is, so the answer is 43.33%, that means 0.4333 into 21,000. I think if you do the calculation, it will come out to be 9,100, right? So this is how you get the answer. Straight, simple. 30 seconds, 45 seconds, maybe 1 minute. During the first reading, you get the answer. Let's look at the seventh one. A box has 450 balls, each either white or black. This is a cross-reference data. Data interpretation में बहुत use होता है. Please remember that. इस तरह का data structures बहुत use होता है. Each either white or black. There being as many metallic white balls as metallic black balls. So that means the white balls are split into metallic and non-metallic. and the black balls are split into metallic and non-metallic. And what they are saying is that the metallic black balls and metallic white balls, these two are equal. And then they tell me if 40% of the white balls and 50% of black balls are metallic. So if I assume the white balls as X or 100X, it sometimes makes more sense to assume this as 100X. If I assume the white balls as 100X, it means that my metallic white balls are 40X. And if I assume my black balls as 100Y, this reaction tells me that the metallic white balls is 50Y. And they have already told me that these two are equal. So I have a situation where 100X plus 100Y is equal to 450. And I also have a situation which tells me that 40X is equal to 50Y. So I can get the relationship that X is equal to 1.25Y. So if X is equal to 1.25Y, this will become 125Y. So I have got 225Y as 450. That means the value of Y is 2. So that means there are 200 black balls. And X is 1.25Y. So if the value of Y is 2, the value of X is 1.25 into 2, which is 2.5. So there are 250 white balls. Question is number of non-metallic balls in the box. What is the number of non-metallic balls in the box? So non-metallic balls in the box, 250 balls, 100 balls are metallic. So 150 balls are non-metallic here. 200 balls, 100 balls are metallic. So 100 balls are non-metallic. So they have asked us the addition of this and this. So the correct answer to this is 250. Right? So please, if I'm making any mistakes in my solution, because I don't have the answers with me, I'm solving this live with you guys. So if I'm making any mistake in my answers, please do point it out. But let's see. This is a good question. This was just a obeying instruction question. There's nothing inside this question, so to say. Right? So ABC jointly invest in a business and agree to share the overall profit in proportion to their investments. So this is a partnership come profit and loss come percentage kind of question. Anil's share of investment is 70%. So Anil, Bobby and Chintu. So Anil's share of investment is 70%. His share of profit decreases by 420 if the overall profit goes down from 18% to 15%. Now this is something you'll have to understand what they are telling you and where they are taking you. His profit share, his share of profit decreased by 420 if the overall profit goes from 18% to 15%. So you have to make sense of this. So there is a profit that they are getting, let's call it 18p, when you have got 18% profit, right? Let's assume or let's think about it this way, that if my total investment is I, if my total investment if my total investment is 100I, at 18% profit, my profit will be 18I, right? And 15% profit, my profit will be 15I. So I'm losing 1/3 of the profit, 1/6 of the profit here. And when I lose 1/6 of the profit overall, each of the people, because the profit is shared on proportion of their investments, each of the people will be losing 1/5 of their, 1/6 of their profits. So Anil, in this case, his profit is going down by 420. So the reaction to this is that he's losing 1/6 of his profit, and that is 420. So Anil's profit here, in this case, Anil's profit must be 2520, and that is equivalent to 70% of the investment. So the other 30% of the investment must be 1080, because 70% being 2520, 100% will be 3600. Total profit would be 3600, and B and C would have a profit of 1080 at this point. That's what you can see here, right? Now then they talk about Chintu. Chintu's share of profit increased by rupees 80 if the overall profit goes from 15% to 17%. So let's focus on Chintu. I hope you can see that I'm writing it. When the profit is 59 to the profit becoming 79, there's a growth on 2 by 15, right, in the profit. And in Chintu's case, that is representing the growth of 80, which basically means that the 2 by 15 increase in profit, when profit goes from 15% to 17%, is reflecting in Chintu's profit at 15% to his profit at 17%, going up by rupees 80. So if 2 by 15 is 80, 1 by 15 will be 40, which means that Chintu's profit here must be 600. But that's Chintu's profit at 59. So this is the profit of Chintu. This is not the profit of A. The profit of A here is 2520, and this profit of A will be 2100. In that case, Chintu's profit here is 600. And if 18I is 3600, as we saw there, 15I will be 3000, which basically means Chintu is getting a profit share of 20% of the profit, which then means that Bobby is getting a profit share of 10% of the profit. And the question they are asking is, what is the amount invested by Bobby? So now what is the amount invested by Bobby? वो कैसे आएगा? उसके लिए you have to understand that 2520 is Anil's profit share here, 20% profit, 720 is the profit of Chintu, and 360 is the profit of Bobby, when the profit ratio is 18%. So 18% profit ratio pe Chintu's profit is 360. So for what number is 18% 360 is the answer? The number is 2000. That would be the answer. Slightly tough question. Slightly tough question, this one. Yeah, this is a tough question, Siddharth. A lot of self-generated thought here. Very, very non-standard this question is. But that's how you do this question. I mean, I'm of course, there are other ways to solve these questions, but I go with my logical way. I try to minimize the mathematics and the algebra, as you can see in most of my solving. But you can't do that here. This is an algebraic solution. A rhombus has an area of 12 square centimeter. A rhombus is a parallel, a quadrilateral with all sides equal, and side length of 5. So this is the rhombus. And the area is 12. And the question is length in centimeter of its longer diagonal. So if I take the longer diagonal, let's say, as, I mean, for a rhombus, we know that the diagonals intersect at right angles. The diagonals intersect at right angles. And yeah, Anusha, your question about can I get 99 percentile depends on what you are doing in your mocks, etc. So if you can solve around 15 questions in the exam, you should be able to get 99 percentile easily. So just focus on that. So coming back here, the area of a diagonal is half into product of area of a rhombus is half into product of diagonals. So if I think of the two diagonals, let's say I think of this diagonal as H and H, and this diagonal as B as B. The diagonals intersect at right angles, and they bisect each other. So what I get is half into 2B into 2H is equal to 12. This is the reaction to area of the rhombus, right? So what that gives me is that 2BH is equal to 12 and BH is equal to 6. And when you have the side length of 5, you can of course use Pythagoras on this to get B square plus H square is equal to 25. And they have asked us the length of the longer diagonal. So the target value is the value of 2H. So either I find B or I find the value of 2H. So there's a very simple reaction at this point, which a lot of people missed. in this question. Bajrang, you are asking for this solution or the previous one? I'll come back to the previous one if you want. I'll try to explain it again. So if you look at this question, the target is to find the value of 2h, right? So if you do this, if you add these two, and you can see the options are root 37 plus root 13 by 2, root 13 plus root 12. So it's got something to do with square roots, etc. So if you add these two expressions, you get b square plus h square plus 2bh is equal to 37, which basically means b plus h whole square is equal to 37, which tells me that b plus h is equal to root 37. That's the first reaction. And the second reaction in this question is to subtract from this minus this. So when you subtract, I get b square plus h square minus 2bh, which is basically nothing but b minus h whole square is equal to 13, which tells me that b minus h is equal to root 13. And if I add the two, I get the value of b as root 37 plus root 13. That will be the longer one, although यहाँ पे h को मैंने longer बनाया, but those are interchangeable here. So what I've got is root 37 plus root 13, and hence the correct answer is option C here. Right? So I have made a mental mark to come back to question 8 a little bit later for you guys, since some of you were asking about that. So the next question, the 10th one, 3 positive integers x, y, z are in arithmetic progression. So y is the middle term of the AP, and y minus x is greater than 2. So that means that the common difference of the AP is more than 2. And then they give me this reaction, x, y, z is equal to 5 times x plus y plus z. Now, if x, y, z are an AP, then the value of x plus z should be equal to 2y. So this expression can be converted to 5 into 3y. That's the reaction here. And x, y, z is equal to 15y. So obviously the y will get cancelled, and you get xz is equal to 15. And they have told us very clearly that x, y, z are positive integers. So two positive integers whose product is 15. There are only two options, 1, 15 or 3, 5. But it cannot be 3, 5. We can reject this because they are in AP with a common difference more than 2. So if I try to fix this as 3 and fix this as 5, y will become 4, and the common difference is only 1 in that case. So we can reject this answer, and that means that the three numbers in this case are 1, 8 and 15. They are asking us z minus x. The value of z minus x has to be 14. So option 3 is the right answer here. Right? So this is this thing. On this question, Prashant, how much paper in QA will be based on PYQ's logic? You will see that if you do the PYQs thoroughly, you do my books thoroughly, you do mocks thoroughly, 3 things. If you've done these 3 thoroughly, you'll see that out of the 22 questions, 15 plus questions will be within the range of the thoughts that you've ingrained. It might not be the same questions. There'll be obviously some twist, some turn in some questions, but there'll be a lot of questions which you will be able to react to if you've done this thoroughly. So let's come to the next one. This next one is again a pretty simple one, although it's geometry, my bugbear normally. D and E, let D and E be points on sides AB and AC respectively of a triangle ABC. So let's say there's a triangle. It's not an equilateral triangle, it's not a isosceles triangle also, so we draw some kind of triangle like this, and this is AB, C, and D and E are points on ABC, on sides AB and AC respectively of a triangle ABC. So I've got D here such that this is 2:1 and AE to C is 2:3. So E must be somewhere here. So this is 2y and 3y. So this is the D line. The area of the triangle ADE is 8. The area of the triangle AD is 8. Then the area of the triangle ABC in square centimeters is. So very simple question. You just need to understand that you have to use the formula half AB sine theta. If this is theta for the triangle ABC and for the triangle ADE, the sine theta is same. So if I use this on the ADE triangle, half AB sine theta 2x into 2y into sine theta is equal to 8. And if I use it on the ABC triangle, half 3x into 5y into sine theta. This is the area of ABC. This is the question, what is this area? So it's just a proportionality thing, because the area change only depends on this ratio. यहाँ पे this it does not depend on this because these two are common. It's just that 4xy is now becoming 15xy. So if 4xy becomes 15xy here, you automatically can see that there's a multiplier of 3.75 on the left hand side, because 4 becoming 15 means it's getting multiplied by 3.75, which means that this 8 will also get multiplied by 3.75. So if you multiply 8 by 3.75, you're going to get a value of 30 as the answer here. So that's how you do this question. Let's look at the next one. For a 4-digit number, the sum of its digits in the thousands, hundreds and tens place is 14. This sum is 14. The sum of the digits in hundreds, tens and units place is 15. Second reaction. This sum is 15. So automatically you realize that whatever you put here, this will be one more than that. If you put x here, this is going to be x plus 1. That's the only way. This red box ka sum is 15 and this black box ka sum is x. So whatever value you put here, so if you put a 2 here, you're going to put a 3 here. If you put a 3 here, you're going to put a 4 there, and so on. And the tens place is 4 more than the units place digit. So if you know this is x, this is x plus 1, you also know that this is x plus 5. So the question being asked is the highest possible 4-digit number satisfying the above conditions. So obviously if I want to go for the highest possible number satisfying the above conditions, I have to make sure that both x, x plus 1 and x plus 5, all three are single digits. And at the same time I want to maximize x. So to do that, it's very simple. I'll have to take a value of 4 here, because that's the largest value I can take here, in which case this becomes 5 and this becomes 9. And because the sum of these digits is 14, 4 plus 9, 13 gives me a 1 here. So that's 14, and this also satisfies the 15 condition. And this is the largest number I can make, 4195. That's the solution to this one. I hope you're finding these solutions very simple and intuitive. So let's come back to the next one. Let's move on to the next question, the 13th one. Here, this question says for all real values of x, the range of the function. So first thing you need to realize is the question is talking about all real values of x, which means it's not just integers, it's not just positive integers. You're going positive integers, you're going negative integers, you're going also to decimal numbers, right? The value of the function x square plus 2x plus 4 upon 2x square plus 4x plus 9. Now there's a simple vision in this question immediately when you see this question, and that vision is that if you see the numerator and the denominator, each of the terms is doubling. If you read this expression properly, this is doubling, this is doubling, this is just more than twice. So you know, and since we are talking about real values of x, you are allowed to put infinite values also. You can put x as 10,000, you can put x as 1 crore, whatever you want. In which case, the denominator's value, the ratio of the numerator denominator will keep tending towards 1 by 2. And it will never reach 1 by 2. Right? Because this component of the denominator is just slightly going. If this was 8, it would be exactly half. 1 by 2 would be the exact value no matter what you put for x. So, and when you put small values of x, this 4 and 9 is going to make a big difference on the overall value of the expression. But when you put very large values of x here, like 1,000 crore and hundreds of crores, which you are allowed to do in this question, this 4 by 9 is not going to shift the baton or shift the button too far away from 1 by 2. So one thing is very visible, that this answer is either 3 C or D. It can't go to 8 by 9, right? It can't go to 0.88 kind of value. So it's either C or D, because both of these are closing at 1 by 2 without including 1 by 2. Now the difference between C and D is, C tells me that 3 by 7 is possible. D tells me 3 by 7 is not possible. So we try to say, okay, 3 by 7 now, value wise we know 3 by 7 is what? 3 by 7 is 0.4285. So we try to see, okay, what happens when we put a value. So when I put a value of 0, for example, I get 4 by 9. 4 by 9 is 0.44. My target value is 3 by 7, and I want to check whether I can get to 3 by 7 or not. So if I try to then go, okay, let me try a -1 here. At a -1, I get 1 plus 4 minus 2. This value becomes 3. And this value is 2 plus 9, 11, minus 4, 7. So at x equals -1, I am able to actually see an actual value of 3 by 7, which means that 3 by 7 is accepted here. It has to be part of the answer, and I reject option D and come to option C as the answer. There could have been a case where it was tending to 3 by 7 on the lower side, but यहाँ पे exact मिल गया. So that's how you get the answer here. The next question. Hi Mridul, welcome to the session. In a football tournament, a player has played a certain number of matches and 10 more matches are to be played. So a player has played a certain number of matches and you've got 10 more matches to be played. If he scores a total of 1 goal over the next 10 matches, so if he scores 1 goal over the next 10 matches, his overall average will be 0.5 goals per match. So he must have scored, let's say he scored X goals. So his overall average is 0.5 goals per match. So if his overall average is 0.15 goals per match, the number of matches he's played is n plus 10. The algebraic equation here is n plus 10 into 0.15 is equal to x plus 1. Two variables I'm assuming. One is the number of goals he scored in the first n matches. So I'm assuming n as the number of matches and x as the number of goals. So using the information given to me, n plus 10 into 0.15 gives me x plus 1, which basically tells me 0.15n plus 1.5 is equal to x plus 1. This is my first equation here. On the other hand, if he scores a total of 2 goals over the next 10 matches, if he scores 2 goals over the next 10 matches, the overall average will be 0.2. So the reaction here is 0.2 into n plus 10 is equal to x plus 2. In this case, he scored x plus 2 goals. And what we are using is goals per match given to us as the average, the value given to us. N plus 10 is the total number of matches he's played. N plus 10 into 0.2 gives me the number of goals. Number of matches into number of goals gives me the number of goals done. So I have these two equations, which this equation tells me 0.2n plus 2 is equal to x plus 2. So now it's just a matter of solving these two equations. So if from this equation, I subtract this minus this, I get, they've asked me the value of n, number of matches he has played is. So they've asked me the value of n. So my target is to get n, so I'll eliminate x. So if I go here, let me just write this more cleanly for you guys so that you can see this. And in these kind of solutions, I'm only scared of making some stupid error somewhere in my calculations. So you have to be very careful because you've got the logic of the question. When you miss a question like this, it's like losing to Bangladesh in a cricket match. You don't want to do that, and you're good enough to beat them. I say Indian team currently is good enough to beat anybody, and everybody is scared of them in the World Cup. I hope they win the next 4 matches. Just 4 matches away from a great victory, and we'll celebrate it together on YouTube if that happens on 19th November. Coming back, so if I subtract this minus this, I get 0.05n plus 0.5 is equal to 1. X gets eliminated. So 0.05n is equal to 0.5, which then tells me that the value of n must be 10. And that's the question being asked. What is the value of n? Number of matches he has played is 10. That's the solution to this question. Let's go to the next one. For all possible integers n satisfying 2.25 less than equal to 2 plus 2 raised to n plus 2 less than equal to 202. You have to read the equation properly, the inequality properly. The number of integer values of 3 plus 3 raised to n plus 1. इस एक्सप्रेशन का दे आर आस्किंग अस, हम लोग से ये पूछ रहे हैं कि व्हाट इज द नंबर ऑफ इंटीजर वैल्यूज ऑफ दिस एक्सप्रेशन. They are not asking us how many solutions this has, right? They are not asking us what the solution to this is. They are asking us how many integer values, number of solutions, so that this is an integer. So the first thing you realize that something like this will be an integer only when n is starting from -1, 0, 1. So if you read this expression well and closely, you realize that this expression to be an integer, the value of n starts from -1, 0, 1, 2 and so on. So after -1, and we are talking about integers for n, so we are not looking at decimal values. So that's why we will not look at a value like -1.5 etc. here. So after -1, pretty much any value of n will fit in this scenario. But there's another constraint for n, that the value of n should be such that this expression is more than equal to 2.25 but less than equal to 202. So when I look at this expression at n equals -1, this expression becomes 2 plus 2 raised to 1, which is in my range. At n equals 0, this expression is 2 plus 2 square, which is also in my range. At n equals 1, this expression is 2 plus 2 cube, which is also in my range. So all these values, -1, 0, plus 1, these are all fitting both my expressions. They're going to give me an integer here and they're within this range. So the key factor is till what point will this range exist. So we know 2 raised to 7 is 128, 2 raised to 8 is 256. So I cannot take 256 here. So which basically tells me that the value of n equals 5 is my last solution, because at n equals 5, this becomes, if you just check that, you don't need to go with every value in between. N equals 5, this becomes 2 raised to 7, which is 128 plus 2, 130. So at n equals 5, this range is still obeyed. But n equals 6, this will become 2 raised to 8, which makes it 256. 256 plus 2 is going to cross 202. So n equals 6 is not going to work here. So we are going to go all the way to 5 from -1 and all the integers in between. So there are 5 integers on the positive side and 0 and -1. So the correct answer to this question is 7. Right? So that's the correct answer. Yeah, but I think 99 percentilers, if not 15, 16, they'll at least do 14, 13, 14, Anusha. Otherwise you'll have to raise, if you can't do 15 questions, you'll have to reduce your outcomes in your percentiles. So let's look at this next question. 6 more questions to go. For all real numbers x, the condition mod 3x minus 20 plus mod 3x minus 40 equals 20 necessarily holds if. Now this is a very simple question, because what you can do is just put values and try to eliminate the options. So for example, if I look at this first option, 6 less than x less than 11, and we are talking about x being real numbers, so it's not necessary that we only take integers. So a value like 6, now although practically this situation is telling me that 6 is not included in this range, because they are asking us for real numbers, I am allowed to take a value of x as 6.100 zeros, after that a 1. This is not 6, but for all practical purposes value is 6. So when you want to test this, you can actually test this whether this range will satisfy or not. This has to necessarily hold. You can just put 6 here, and in 6 this modulus is 2 and this modulus is 22. So 2 plus 22 gives me 24, not 20. So at 6 it's not satisfied, but see, this does not have 6. I'm still repeating this, but for all practical purposes a number like 6 point a few thousand zeros and a 1 is definitely part of this range, and it's not going to satisfy this equal to 20 relationship there. So I can reject this option that starts from 6 here, and there's a second option which is 7 to 12, third between 10 to 15, and a fourth between 9 to 14. So my next value will be to try to check if I put a value of x as 13.9999, not quite 14, but a few thousand nines, a few million nines, as many nines as I want. So for all practical purposes, I can insert a 14 and see what happens. Does it satisfy? So at x equals 14, this is 22. And at x equals 14, this is 2. And 22 plus 2 is again 24, does not satisfy this. And if 14 does not satisfy this, both these options go. And 7 to 12 is the correct answer. You can check at 7. This is 1 and this is 19. You can say check at 12. At 12 this is 16 and this is 4. So 16 plus 4 is 20. So you get the answer in this question. Either way, so option B is the right answer. Next question. The sides AB and CD of a trapezium ABCD are parallel, with AB being the smaller side. So let's make a trapezium. AB, CD, with AB being the smaller side. P is the midpoint of CD. P is the midpoint of CD. And ABPD is a parallelogram. ABPD is a parallelogram. Now, if this is a parallelogram, the first thing you realize is that because these two are equal, being a parallelogram, and this is the midpoint, it means this is also equal to that. And the question being asked is the difference between the areas of the parallelogram and the triangle BPC, this triangle, is 10. If the area of the parallelogram is x and the area of the triangle is y, what they are telling me is x minus y is 10. So what you need to understand in this, the very simple reaction from here to get to the answer. If you look at this diagonal, the triangle ABP and the triangle BPC will be equal to each other because they are two triangles having the same base and the same height. This base for BPC and this base for ABP are same, they are equal because this is equal to this and this is equal to this. So, which means that if this is y, this area is y, this area is also y, and this area is also y, because when you have a parallelogram and you draw a diagonal, it splits the parallelogram into two equal triangles. So what is happening is the area of the parallelogram ABPD is 2y and the area of the triangle BPC is y. So what they are telling me is 2y minus y is equal to 10, which means the value of y is 10. If y is 10, the overall area of the trapezium is 3y, and hence the correct answer to this question is 30. Right, thanks for being there, all of you, and keeping the faith on the channel. Do subscribe, and those of you looking for a CAT course, we have an online program. We also have an offline course in Connaught Place, Delhi, where all the content, etc., is actually delivered by me and my team. And the way I teach at Mindworks is I make sure that you get my perspective on each and every aspect of your CAT journey, and you get my advisory, and not just my advisory, my teaching on every topic. So that's the thumb rule I use at Mindworks, that जो भी CAT का course होता है, suppose there's a 200-hour course that you normally do when you go into a offline coaching program, my content in Mindworks with the app and the online resource available is 500 to 600 hours. It's 2 times, 3 times the course that you would get in a normal coaching this thing. So I try to make sure in my course at least that if you just follow just my videos, and we have a whole group of teachers who support me, but even if you just follow my classes and my videos, you will be able to complete the complete course 2-3 times over. Let's come back to that. Thanks for that, Gopal. So coming back, this is a very simple question. Raj invested 10,000 in a fund. At the end of first year, incurred a loss, but his balance was more than 5,000. So he started with 10,000 and there's a loss, and his balance has come to something which is above 5,000. This balance when invested, so he invested this balance for another year and it grew. And the percentage of growth in the second year was 5 times the percentage of loss in the first year. So if he incurred a loss of L% here, he's incurred a profit of 5L% here. If the gain of Raj from the initial investment over the 2-year period is 35%, then the percentage of loss in the first year is very simple, straight away. That means his profit percentage is 35% on his initial investment. So after 2 years, his investment is 13,500. It's an option-based question. Even if you don't see it without options, it's very obvious that if you put a 10% loss here, you'll come down to 9,000. And you put a 50% profit here. On 9,000, you'll come to 13,500. So 10 and 50 are the two numbers that fit in. So option C, 10% is the answer to this question. That's the 18th question. The 19th one, interesting one. I couldn't do this when I was doing my personal attempt at this paper. The question is, suppose one of the roots of the equation, but it's simple. I missed one trigger in this question. One of the roots of the equation ax squared minus bx plus c is 0 is 2 plus root 3. So when you get this, you know that they always conjugate pairs to each other. So if 2 plus root 3 is one of the roots, 2 minus root 3 is the other root. Where a, b, c are rational numbers and a not equal to 0. This is a standard way of writing that this is strictly a quadratic equation. This is ax squared minus bx plus c. So what do you have here? Before you go here, what do we have here is sum of roots minus b upon a, but b itself here is minus b. So sum of roots is b by a, which according to this is going to be 4. And the product of roots is c by a, which according to this is the product of this into this. So product of a, 2 plus root 3 into 2 minus root 3 is 4 minus 3. So product of roots c by a is equal to 1. And then they tell me that b is equal to c cube. This expression is telling me b is equal to c cube. So if I put b equals c cube here, I get c cube upon a is equal to 4. And here I've got c upon a is equal to 1, which means c is equal to a. So if I put c equals a here, I get a cube upon a is equal to 4. So a square is equal to 2. A square is equal to 4. A cube by a is equal to 4. So the value of a is plus minus 2. They have asked us modulus a. So modulus a is always going to be 2. So option A is the right answer. I wonder why I didn't get this doing my paper here. I had talked about this. I had scored 57 in the verbal section, 60 out of 60 in DILR, and 44 in quants. In the exam, I might not be able to. 57 is a fair score. This is the score I'll get if I take the CAT. 60 is not what I would get if I do the DILR, because I had taught those questions earlier. So, वो थोड़ा सा, I mean, although you don't remember the solutions, etc., वो familiarity of knowing what the traps are in the question. So, I would not have got 60. Maybe I would have done 2.5, 3 sets. So 20 marks kam kar do. And quants, of course, I was solving for the first time. So 44 is again. I mean, if I do a little bit of practice, I can easily get 50 there, 50, 55, because I miss these kind of questions. But anyway, the next question here, for a sequence of real numbers x1, x2, xn. This is a chain function question, x1 minus x2 plus x3 plus minus 1 raised to n plus 1 xn. This is a sign change function. This is a sign change operator. With n as odd, this will give me plus. With n as even, this will give me minus. There are a lot of questions on sign change operators in the previous year questions. So this is the structure is equal to n square plus 2n for all natural numbers n. Then they are asking us the sum of x49 plus x50. So the moment you realize this, when you have this trigger, I mean, you obviously know that in a chain function like this, you don't go all the way to x4950. You will have to find a middle path somewhere where you will be able to extrapolate, okay, what's happening on the function. So we start with x1. The value of x1 here is, I mean, simply n square plus n with n equals 1. The value of n is, this n is also the same n. So it basically means at what point are you stopping. So at x1, the value of this is 3. N equals 1, n square is 1, 2n is 2. So at x1, the value of this is 3. And at x1 minus x2, the value of this with n is 2 will be 4 plus 4, 8, which tells me that x2 is minus 5, because x1 is 3. So value of x2 is minus 5. If I go to the next expression, x1 minus x2 plus x3, with n is 3, this formula again applying is 13, and because this is 8, it tells me that the value of x3 is 5. Then I go to x4, x1 minus x2 plus x3 minus x4. This value is 16 plus 8, 24. So the value of x4 is coming out to be, this expression is 13 from here, and this expression is plus 11. So value of x4 is equal to minus 11. That's what we got, x4. x3 plus x4 is coming out to be minus 6 here. No pattern till now. If I go to x5, x5 will be this whole expression plus x5. That expression plus x5. And this value is 25 plus 10, 35. So that tells me that the value of x5 is 11. And then when I go to minus x6, this whole expression minus x6, this value is going to be 48. Which tells me that the value of x6 is minus 13. Because this x1 to x5 का sum जो है, x1 minus x2 plus x3 minus x4 plus x5, इसका sum जो है वो 35 था, और minus x6 जब कर रहे हो तो 48 हो रहा है. That means this value of x6 has to be minus 13. At this point you start seeing a pattern, x5 11, x6 minus 13. So that means x5 plus x6 is equal to minus 2. And you can confirm this with x7 and x8. I think you should get at x7, this is 63, so x7 15 आ रहा है, और x8 ये 64, 80 आएगा, तो minus 17 आएगा. तो इस point के बाद ये pattern पे fit हो जाता है, and the sum of any pair of odd plus even expressions, odd plus even terms of this expression is minus 2. 11 minus 13 or 15 minus 17 and so on. So minus 2 is the answer. Question 21 now. Two pipes A and B are attached to an empty water tank. Pipe A fills the tank while pipe B drains it. If pipe A is opened at 2 p.m. and pipe B, so A is the filling pipe and B is the draining pipe. If pipe A is opened at 2 p.m. and pipe B is opened at 3 p.m., then the tank becomes full at 10 p.m. So if let's say if the efficiency of A or the filling rate of A is A% and the emptying rate of B is B%, so what I get is 8A minus 7B is equal to 100. I'm assuming the rates of filling and emptying in percentage terms. So 8A minus 7, because till 10 p.m. A is open for 8 hours and B is open for 7 hours. So 8A minus 7B is 100. And then they say instead of pipe A is opened at 2 p.m. and pipe B is opened at 4 p.m., the tank becomes full at 6 p.m. So if 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., the expression will mean 4A, that's the filling, and the emptying will be 2B. 4A minus 2B is equal to 100. So the tank also gets filled in this fashion. So if pipe B is not opened at all, then the time taken in minutes to fill the tank. That means only you only open the pipe A. So what's going to happen? So only thing you have to do is find the values. This is a simultaneous equation. Find the values of A and B. You can double this and eliminate A. Although your target is A only, but it's easier to eliminate A. So 8A minus 4B is equal to 200. Then you subtract this minus this, you will get 3B is equal to 100. That means B is equal to 33.33%. Remember the unit used here is percentage. So B is 33.33%. And if B is 33.33%, 7B is 233.33, which means 8A is 333.33. So the value of A is 333.33 divided by 8, which is what, 41.66. Use the calculator in the CAD for this. Yeah, it's 41.66. That means the rate of filling of pipe A is 41.66. And if that is the rate of filling of pipe A, so the last thing you have to do is 100 divided by 41.66. So I could have done this mentally also, but CAD mein calculator hai to use the calculator. It's always better to do that. Always use the calculator, it's always better to do that. So 2.4 hours lag raha hai, 100 divided by 41.66. 2.4 hours lag raha hai. Question pucha hai minutes mein, 2.4 is 144 minutes. So that's why option C is the right answer. And the last question for today. I hope you enjoyed this. Please do subscribe to the channel. Do spread the word about the channel. I'll be pretty enthused about doing more on the channel if the subscriptions perk up a little bit and the views perk up a little bit. Do help me with that. So a person buys tea of 3 different qualities at 800, 500 and 300 rupees per kg. And the amounts bought are in proportion of 2:3:5. So if I buy 2 kgs of this, I am spending 1600. I buy 3 kgs of this, I am spending 1500. I buy 3 kgs of this, I am spending 1500. So I am spending a total of 4600 rupees to buy 10 kgs, which means my per kg cost, average cost is coming out as 460. She mixes all the tea and sells 1/6 of the mixture at rupees 700 per kg. So if I am going for 10 kgs, 1/6 of the mixture is going to be 1.66 kgs, right? But that's going to go into decibels. So what I'll do to be smart here is I'm going to, instead of thinking of 10 kgs, I'll think of maybe 60 kgs. So if 10 kgs cost 4600, 60 kgs ka total cost will be 4600 into 6. 4000 into 6 is 24,000. 27,600 is my total cost for 60 kgs. Now what she is doing is she sells 1/6 of the mixture at 700 per kg. So she is selling 10 kgs of the mixture at 700 per kg. So she is creating a value of 7,000 rupees. That's the revenue she is getting. The question says the price in INR per kg at which she should sell the remaining tea to make an overall profit of 50%. Right? So in this case, you want to make an overall profit of 50%. So the target revenue is 50% more than this. So if you multiply this by 50% more or multiply this by 1.5, you're going to add 13,800. So that's going to make it, your target revenue is 41,400, out of which you already earned 7,000. So the remaining revenue you want is 34,800 by selling 50 kgs more. If you divide this by 50, I am quite sure we'll get the answer. 34,800 divided by 50 gives me 680. Is that correct? One sec. 27,600 into 1.5. 41,400 is my total target. Minus 7,000. Yeah, I think I made a mistake here. Not 34,800. You're obviously going to have 34,400. I'm also tired, end of long class. So the target value, this was fine. 41,400 is the target value, out of which you already earned 7,000. So you're going to earn, you have to earn 34,400, and you're going to do it at by selling 50 kgs. So if you divide by 50, you're going to get the answer of 688, which is the correct answer here. Chalo, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be doing this more frequently. The 6th edition of quants is quite old now. I revise the quants book every 2 years. So effectively, if you are now in the 10th edition, which is also up for revision for next year. So the 10th edition is based on CAT 21, not even CAT 22. So if you go back to the 6th edition, it will be based on CAT 2013-14, which is very old. So the learnings and the aspects of the last 8 years of CAT would not have come into it. Thanks everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back soon. Don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon so that you know when I'm live. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.